5 a.m. is early, man. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Andrew Bone Albo, who is set to compete, I believe, on the 31st of August. Now at it is the Pan American Wushu Sanda Championship. So I'm very excited to hear a little bit more about that and your journey, man, from 300 pounds, which is incredible. It's really interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about you and how you transformed your life through martial arts. So Andrew, how are you doing? You're tired, I take it.
Yeah, it's definitely early, but I'm great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You're a big jiu-jitsu fan, aren't you? You're a purple belt, are you on the 10th planet?
Yeah, 10 Planet Purple Belt. I've been doing it for a minute. I've taken some breaks, but yeah, jiu-jitsu is definitely one of my bases. Love it.
Do you see the Craig Jones Invitational? Are you watching it?
Yeah, I did. It was great.
Any thoughts on the event?
I think the event was ran very well for like the first time event. I know that there's been some different promotions starting from like Metamoris going up, Polaris and all of them. And so I think it's right up there with them with the ADCC. I think the production value is right there. And I think that it was a great event.
I mean, the Gabby Garcia and Craig Jones one was like, I don't
Yeah.
even know. Like it was mad how easily, like he was just kind of toying with her. I felt that from what I could tell, he was nearly toying with her from the beginning.
Yeah, it's one of those matches that it was surreal once it happened. Like you never thought you were going to get there. And then seeing Craig Jones do that. I mean, he trains with the best at B team. There's so many beasts in that room, so I'm not surprised.
I know he marketed himself as like oh, I'm just a regular guy who's never really won anything. I'm like, oh, you're so good. Like you're so
Exactly.
good.
Yeah, I was like regular guy, nah.
But listen, enough about Craig Jones. Tell me about you, man, and your journey through combat sports. Talk to me a little bit about your competitive journey and yeah, your experience in
Yeah.
martial arts.
So I started martial arts back my senior year of high school, and so it kind of fizzled out where I realized I wasn't getting any taller, I wasn't getting any bigger for football. Kind of went for something else, and so I started off doing some boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu at a local gym. From there, it transformed to where I wrestled in college and junior college at Mount San Antonio College, California, and then went back to jiu-jitsu. That's where I started 10th Planet, actually down in Tucson with 10th Planet Tucson, Anthony Burchak, who's a UFC vet, and his team Toro Tech. From there, I competed. I took second in the SJJF Worlds at Blue Belt for Nogi. And then, I did the life thing. Got married, had kids, started working corporate jobs, and then I ballooned up. I went from 170 pounds to 300 pounds in like 3 years.
What?
Um, yeah, I mean, I just became a workaholic. I really wanted to do certain things for my family, so just working endlessly. And then when COVID happened, I really just that's when I really ballooned up because I wasn't doing anything, And then I was talking to my wife one day, and me and my son started watching like the Ultimate Fighter and everything. And he kind of asked me, he's like, "You used to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Did you stop because of me?" And I was like, oh, "Man,
Damn.
no, I didn't." And just having that thought in his head, I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Why don't you do it anymore?" And I was like, "You're right." And so I just started doing it again. At that point, I was 300 pounds, and it was really a tough road because my second day back, I tore my ACL,
Oh
and
my god.
then yeah. And so that was a whole road back in itself. And then from there, I started competing again. And then I won some local jiu-jitsu competitions. I tried getting some fights in Japan. Still haven't heard back. I actually went out to Japan for a tryout and sparred some guys from a team called YNK. One of them is named Singh. He's actually fighting on the 31st for
Yeah.
Deep MMA as well. He's a good friend of mine now. And so I'm probably going to go out there again later this year, hopefully get a fight. Um, but then the National Sanda Championship happened right here in Arizona, and so I was like, I'm gonna try it. So I did. It was very crazy because I had no corner. I went by myself. I showed up, and they definitely thought I was gonna get beat up. And then it was my turn to fight. And I just went through, and I ended the fight pretty early. It was definitely surreal because I learned the rules for everything at the rules meeting. Um, but yeah,
I mean that's crazy. And you were talking to me a little bit about Sanda. How would you describe the sport and explain? Because I'm a big combat sports fan, but it's not something I've actually encountered before.
Yeah, so it seems that it's very popular. It's growing in South America. It's from China, so it's very popular in Asia. It's very similar to shoot fighting or shoot boxing, where
Mhm.
it's boxing gloves, kickboxing, but there's a takedown aspect to it. It's on an elevated platform as well, and so that is another aspect because you can throw them off, and if you get thrown off twice in a round, you lose the round. And it's very fast paced. It's only 2 minute rounds, and it's best two out of three. So once it starts, people really go at it, and it's very exciting. It's very fun to watch.
And August 31st now, just in just under 2 weeks, you're competing at the Pan American Championship. Talk to me about the event and your preparation for it.
Yeah, so winning the national championship, I didn't realize that it was also team trials. So they came
Oh,
up to me.
really?
Yeah, so they came up to me after at I was just chilling there because there's an award ceremony and there's like a 2 hour gap. So I'm just chilling there, sitting on a couch at the hotel, and they came up to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you want to do with this?" And I was like, "Well, I know there's like world championships and stuff like that. I know next year's the world team trials. I'll go ahead and do those." And they're like, "Well, we have the Pan American Championship in about a month. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Sure." And they're like, "All right, you have a spot on Team USA." So now I'm the Team USA representative for over 90 kilograms. And so that's how it kind of plays out there. Now, the event itself is going to be in Santa Clara, California, so not too far. And so my preparation for it, I kind of train at a couple of different gyms. So I've been sparring straight boxing with boxers at a Sunny's boxing gym, at my main gym, 10th Planet Goodyear. We also have a Muay Thai team, so I train with them, and then just blasting cardio and getting ready for it. I got a lot of good experience at that sauna tournament and watching so many fights go down and kind of see how it all works out. So just watching tape and training hard.
And weight wise, so you're above 90 kilos, so you're not concerned about weight or anything. What are you walking around at right now? Can I ask?
Yeah, I'm about 255, fed. So I haven't checked in a couple of days, but blasting the cardio, I'm probably going to be about 240 when I get up there. The
Wow.
over 90 kilograms, I've seen some of them. I don't know about the Pan American Championships because it's basically going to be us, Canada, and then South American teams as well. The When I look at the competition at like the World Championship, when you see like Iran and China, they get pretty beefy up there. It definitely affects their stamina, so it's not as fast paced as some of the lighter weights, and so it's going to be definitely interesting to see who shows up.
It's interesting the rule set as well. So if you get wrestled or
Mhm.
taken down twice in a round, you lose the round. Right. It sounds
No,
interesting.
yeah. So this is one of the things that really kind of made it a lot different. So there's a point aspect. So the point aspect is a clean shot to the head, clean leg kick. That's a point. Kick to the body or a kick to the head is 2 points, and a takedown is 2 points. But like I mentioned, it's an elevated platform. So if you get thrown off because there's no ropes or anything, if you get thrown off twice in a round, you give up the round. There's a 12-point gap in the points. You give up the round, or they can even mercy rule you. So there's 5 judges, and if they all think that you're outclassed, they can just call off the fight.
Damn. Okay. So I guess there is an advantage to having a little bit more weight about you, but do you feel like 240 is a good fighting weight for you?
Yeah, yeah, that's about what I was at the national championships. So, like I said, it's a quick fight. So I definitely want to be a little bit faster because there's a lot of getting in and getting out in that sport. There's definitely a lot of knockouts and there's definitely a lot of pushouts, but the guys at the highest level that you see, they're the ones that can get in, get out, circle around because it's a pretty big platform. I think it's 24 by 24.
Okay.
Um,
So,
so it's very big. So there's a lot of room to move around, and I don't know if I'm going to go against a guy that wants to play that game, so I might have to go catch him.
hmm. And I guess you fought you were 170 when you started martial arts, and now you're 255. What are the big differences you've noticed from being, say, a welterweight in MMA terms to now a heavyweight?
So it's kind of weird. Once I kind of started paying attention to like the height range, because I always went against taller people. I'm about 5'8", So I was always going against and training with people that are over 6 foot, 5'11", and when I kind of realized that a lot of the heavyweights are like that, kind of calmed my nerves around, because a lot of them are like 5'11", 6'2". And so I was like, I'm fighting guys. I fought guys and trained with guys that were that height before, just faster. And it kind of went like that. My reaction time and the way my brain's processing everything that's going on, it's still at that smaller weight. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but now I accumulated my speed to be where I know where it's at, to where I can see, or I need to be in this position. For what's coming at me, because it's a lot slower. These guys are a lot slower. There's a lot more openings. There's just a bigger risk because they hit way harder. And so that's kind of the big difference, is that I can kind of see things coming. Like I'm still 170, but I can I can take advantage of those openings more, but it's just a bigger risk involved.
For sure. And if I was to switch gears, you've trained at a couple of 10th planets. I've actually never trained at a 10th planet
Yeah.
before. What's like, do you feel like there's a culture there across the 10th planet that's consistent?
Yeah, I love 10 Planet. The culture in the room, it's a very welcoming culture. I guess you could say it's more of like an American jiu-jitsu system, right? So Eddie Bravo developed it. He used it, and then he beat Gracie down in Brazil with it. He triangled him. So he really blew up the system. The system's a lot different because I trained jiu-jitsu before, and I really struggled with that kind of system. But with the 10 Planet system and how they structure everything, that is something that really took my game to another level. But yeah, culture wise, like I've trained at other 10 planets in other states. We always, 10 planet guys, if anybody's traveling in town, they always come to the 10 planet. And so there's definitely a rich culture, and everyone's just super chill.
That's cool, man. And listen,
Mhm.
you're working with us here at Millions. Talk to me a little bit about the merch you have available with us.
Yeah, so just launched my first shirt last week. I'm very excited about it. The design came out great. Everything was an easy process. I got all the marketing tools. So I'm definitely excited about it. It's the first shirt that I've ever done. And so being with it, I was kind of nervous about the process, but it's launched. It's great. It's on my page, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
And listen, national Sanda champion, competing now at the Pan Americans and Worlds next year. The prospect of being a world champion is very realistic. Are there any sponsors or brands you'd love to collaborate with in future? Any maybe that you use on a regular basis, even?
Yeah, so right now I'm a brand ambassador with Yocal. They do all the Muay Thai gear. I've definitely wanted to take that next step further and join their team. That's kind of always been the goal. I've definitely sold a lot of merch for them. Um, I'm a big believer in just working with brands that I've used. So like the Anaconda knee brace too. Since I tore my ACL, I've been using that, and those are things that I actually believe in. Um, but yeah, I mean, with companies, I'm open to working with anybody as long as it's a solid product and solid company I believe in.
And with respect to other athletes, are there any athletes in the game right now that you admire or look up to, or maybe even dream fights in future?
Yeah, there are a ton. Sean Strickland is definitely one. I know he's kind of a colorful
Really?
character out there. Yeah, but I definitely think that people like that come from a hard background and work through their adversary, they definitely are people that I look up to. I mean, seeing what he did in that Izzy fight, where he just went out there, you know, enemy territory, didn't care, won the crowd, won the fight, and became kind of a cultural icon for mixed martial arts. He's definitely one of them. Now, as far as like lesser known fighters, there are a couple of them out in Japan. Um, One of them is Roque Martinez. He's the current deep heavyweight champion. They call it Megaton out there, but seeing him fight out there, he's definitely a style that I try to emulate. He's in the same weight class as me. I definitely want to fight in deep, so obviously he's somebody that's always on my
Mm.
target list if that fight ever happens. But yeah, there's a lot of guys out there, but definitely. looking up to Sean Strickland because I like his pressure style and I like it. I think he's funny. He says a lot of things that get on people's nerves. Some of them I think are pretty questionable myself, but you know we need that in the sport. It gets people in.
It does. It does. I don't know if you've seen his podcast with Theo Vaughn, but like I liked the one
Yeah,
he did with Rogan, but the one he did with Theo Vaughn was just so transparent.
yeah,
I don't know. I thought I was gonna say he came across well. He came across as Sean Strickland in it. I thought it was very authentic. But my God, he's funny, man. He's a funny character.
exactly. That's why we love him. He's super transparent. He's not like super polished or anything like that. Where like you can tell a PR team got him ready. He is what he is, and that's what I love about him.
He's a PR team's nightmare, I think is the way I put it.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen, man, you're competing now, 31st. Provided all goes well, you bring home the W for Team USA. What's
Yeah.
next for you?
So, the goal is first always health. So continuing to get the weight down. After Pan American Championships, there are some boxing fights locally that I'm looking at doing. Um, and then, like I said, I'm keeping the door open with Japan. I've talked to Deep before. I have a team out there that kind of is going to help me get more fights in Japan, but mainly wanting to go out to Asia and fight. I'm part Japanese myself, so going out there, it kind of feels like you kind of feel more drawn to it. There's fights in America too, but I'm not really having luck with any promotions out here. Um, so definitely aiming for that, Asian side. Maybe fight in Ryzen one day, maybe one FC. If UFC ever calls, I'll take it, whatever, right? But that's kind of where I think my legacy is gonna shine is if I go out to Asia.
I think that's really cool, man. And yeah, I'd love to see you transition to MMA. I'd love to see that. Tell me, where can people keep up with you? Social media, follow your journey.
Yeah, so all my social media is under Andrew 1776. So that's ANDR and then UWU 1776. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And so you can reach me there. My Instagram is probably where I spend most of my time, messaging with people, commenting on stuff. But yeah, you guys can follow me there.
For sure. Listen, keep making content, man. I'm really excited to see what you do next and where your journey goes, brother. And listen, best of luck for your next fight. Very, very excited to see it, man. And yeah, bring it
Awesome.
home for Team USA, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Brother, I appreciate your sleep schedule. Appreciate you waking up at 5 a.m. for me. No, man, you're the best. I appreciate you, Andrew. Stay in touch. And yeah, looking forward to working together, yeah?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Have a good one, brother. Best of luck.
Bye.